It's the 29th of September and I'm Tom Glass and welcome to The Roast. Tonight, Australia has signed a $40 million deal to resettle refugees in poverty-stricken Cambodia. Because what's the point of being rich if not to pay poorer people to deal with all of Australia's problems? Tell you what, maybe we could pay other countries to offset our carbon emissions as well. Was that? We already do. Man, we have got our shit sorted. Hello, Papua New Guinea? Yeah, you have a terrible human rights record. Take our fat kids. Boom. Obesity problem solved. First, here is Mark Humphries with the headlines. Oh, excuse me. Hello. Oh, hi, America. What's that? You think you're storing your nuclear waste here? Yeah, that should be okay.
North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, seen here sentencing a guitar to 20 years hard labour, has not appeared in the public eye for almost a month. No doubt because he's too busy taking care of his country's near 25 million inhabitants.
State television has admitted that Kim Jong-un is suffering physical discomfort, generating speculation about a possible addiction to Swiss cheese.
Here I was thinking he was addicted to power. And typical Swiss, they pretend to be all peace-loving and neutral, but when you're not looking, they're manufacturing army knives and toppling dictators with their cheese. The speculation is a slap in the face for North Korea's most popular cheese, state-sanctioned coagulated dairy product.
You eat now!
Cuba, the country that's been running the world's longest classic car show, has ended plans for perfumes honouring socialist heroes, including Che Guevara. So bad news for all you people who want to smell like someone who died 50 years ago. In addition to Guevara, Cuba's state pharmaceutical company also planned to make a fragrance honouring former Venezuelan President Hugo Chavez, a fragrance that would have been called Hugo, which would have been a great idea for 30 years ago! The cancellation of these fragrances also means things are not looking good for Gillette's new line of shaving products, Shave Guevara. The Cuban government has called the project disrespectful, and I agree, Che's legacy is strictly for t-shirts. If the fragrance went ahead, it would have joined the likes of other celebrity colognes such as David Beckham's Instinct, Antonio Banderas' Seduction in Black, and Todd Carney's Eau de Toilette in the Mouth. George Clooney, the two-time Oscar winner who uses his influence to sell coffee pods, got married on the weekend. The wedding of Mr. Clooney and human rights lawyer Amal Alamuddin was attended by a range of stars, as well as an employee from Apple. And if you're annoyed by Bono's appearance, I understand Apple is working on a tool to help you remove him from the wedding. Mr. Clooney has previously been so against the idea of getting married for a second time, it's said that he had a $100,000 bet with actress Michelle Pfeiffer that he would stay single. Now that she's won, Miss Pfeiffer is expected to spend the money buying and destroying every copy of Grease 2. For The Roast, I'm Mark Humphries.
Thank you, Mark. Well, next up tonight, asylum seekers. You know, the thing our politicians are more terrified of entering Australia than Ebola are set to experience a change in their accommodation. On Friday, Immigration Minister and Australia's bouncer Scott Morrison signed a deal to resettle up to 1,000 refugees currently held on Nauru. So to those asylum seekers, get ready to say goodbye to the poverty-ridden hellhole island that is Nauru and say hello to the poverty-ridden hellhole mainland that is Cambodia. That's right, under the new deal, the Australian government has made a $40 million aid down payment and will pay for food, housing, language classes and business loans for any refugee who goes there. So I guess we can expect a whole rush of people eager to sign up to that deal.
Cambodia's Interior Minister said the government only wanted to take 4 or 5 refugees to begin with.
Sorry, we paid them $40 million to take anywhere between 1,000 refugees and 4. Someone really should have told Scott Morrison that Cambodia is one of those countries where they do expect you to haggle. Now, the deal comes despite Tony Abbott having held strong opinions on former Prime Minister Gillard's 2011 plan to send refugees to Malaysia.
Their standards are not our standards, and it is very wrong of Australia to send people who have come into our care, however briefly, to a country whose standards are so different from ours.
Yeah, but this deal is nothing like that. So asylum seekers can rest easy, or however you rest on one of these things. You can rest awkwardly, because be assured, Cambodia's standards are totally different to Malaysia's. You have the government's word on it.
And we have a generous aid program with Cambodia that's focused on economic development. They look at other Southeast Asian countries, Singapore, Indonesia, Malaysia, and say, well, we want to be like that.
You see, Cambodia aspires to be the country that wasn't good enough for Australia's refugees 3 years ago. I did say the standards were different, not better. And Treasurer Joe Hockey would agree because he hated the Malaysia solution as well.
I will never, ever support a people swap where you can send a 13-year-old child unaccompanied to a country without supervision. Never. It'll be over my dead body.
Yeah. Joe Hockey will only support a policy where adults are sent to one of the world's 20 most corrupt countries, accompanied by $40 million. Which Cambodia will need, because countries with corruption problems just never seem to have enough money. And while a lot of people, including, the UN, have expressed concern about the deal, Scott Morrison hasn't. Although, to be fair, it's hard to be concerned when bubbles are tickling your nose.
Mr. Morrison stood and clinked champagne glasses with Cambodia's Interior Minister Sa Keng.
All this people shuffling is making me thirsty. Gentlemen, to what should we toast? To not having to deal with this shit anymore? To renting a country to house our problems?
Neither Mr. Morrison nor Mr. Sa Keng said a word during their 5-minute appearance.
Well, they were probably high-fiving telepathically. But to all those critics out there who think that drinking champagne at such an event might be a little distasteful, Mr. Morrison had this rebuttal.
This is a standard protocol in Cambodia. I'm not going to disrespect my host.
You could have said you were driving or working or that you don't drink. You don't have to give in to peer pressure, Mr. Morrison. It's okay to say no. You do it all the time to refugees. And given that many of the people being sent to Cambodia are Muslims who may not drink, it's hard to imagine what kind of champagne toast could be more inappropriate.
A toast? A toast to the Death Star.
Oh my God, it's incredible.
I know. Now it's just time to turn it on and destroy a planet. What? Here we go.
No, the Cambodia one is still worse. We'll be right back.
Have you ever felt a great disturbance in the force? As if millions of voices suddenly cried out in terror and were suddenly silenced? Did you feel that same disturbance when this deal with Cambodia was signed? I mean, who are we as a country anymore? We'd love to hear about it. At the Roast TV or hashtag RoastTV.
So, asylum seekers will be given the option to resettle in Cambodia. But compared to Nauru, I mean, that's got to be a better option, right?
The education system's unsatisfactory, health system's unsatisfactory, and indeed the exploitation of children in terms of trafficking and in other ways is endemic.
Okay, but if I'm not a kid, all good for refugees heading to a new country?
They're people who speak a different language, who haven't got any money, don't understand the local culture, and by and large, I think would struggle to get employment apart from anything else.
Oh, not if you're a kid. No, they get loads of work in Cambodia. But what about healthcare?
When you got money, they have a look. They do some treatment to you. But if no money, they let you die.
Sounds like they need Obamacare in Cambodia. They need Obama Cambodia care. But all in all, the prospect of moving from a detention centre to one of the poorest nations on the planet doesn't seem very appealing. And given that this resettling is strictly voluntary, you have to wonder, how is the Australian government planning to sell this to refugees? And no, I won't accept lying as an answer.
Escape to Cambodia. A world of surprises. Visit miles of untouched land, minds, and be touched forever by the beauty of the landscape. A world of opportunity to work in this growing industry and be touched by sex tourists. A world of prosperity where you could be pulling in over $1 a day. A world of wonder and rich history. Did we mention the landmines? Cambodia. Escape your troubles and discover a world of new ones.
You will not be resettled in Australia. You will never live in Australia.
Oh no, Morrison taped over his audition tape for My Detention Centre Rules. Still, good video. Certainly beats the government's original ad, "Where the bloody hell are we sending you?" But of course, if refugees don't want to spend the rest of their lives in Cambodia, the government has offered them plenty of other good options.
The Abbott government has sent one asylum seeker back to Syria and several others back to Iraq through voluntary return packages last month.
So if you don't like Cambodia, there is always Iraq. Just be careful of those bombs we're about to start dropping. Good night. All right, let's see where we can send the rest of the government's problems. Okay, boom. What do we got? Tanzania. You get Tony Abbott's low approval rating. Sorry about that. Okay, failed NBN construction. Boop. Into the ocean for you. Blub, 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 blub. And finally, Palm United Party. Now, whichever country gets it, I know you value your balance of power, but unfortunately, it's time to pull your weight. Chad. Oh, bad luck, buddy.